The signal. The observation deck of the celestial horizon hummed with quiet efficiency as Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the data streaming across her display. 3 months into deep space exploration, and nothing had prepared her for this moment. The signal wasn't random cosmic noise. It was structured, repeating, mathematical. Intelligent. "Commander Rodriguez, you need to see this," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Marcus Rodriguez floated over from the navigation console, his weathered face showing concern. 20 years in space had taught him to recognize genuine alarm in his crew. "What you got, Chen?" "A transmission. It's coming from the fourth planet in the Kepler 442 system. We're still 2 weeks out, but the signal strength suggests something massive." She pulled up the waveform analysis. "Marcus, it's not just structured. It's a greeting protocol. Whoever sent this wants to be found." The commander studied the patterns, his expression darkening. That planet was supposed to be uninhabited. Our long-range scans showed no technological signatures. "That's because they're not using technology we understand," interjected Dr. James Park, the ship's xenobiologist, who had just entered the deck. "Look at these energy readings. Whatever's generating this signal operates on principles that shouldn't exist according to our physics." Sarah pulled up another screen. "There's more. The signal contains embedded data. It's a star chart, but not of any region we recognize. And there's something else, a countdown sequence. It's been running for approximately 800 years. 800 years? Marcus's jaw tightened. That's before humans even had telescopes capable of detecting this system. "Exactly," Sarah whispered. "They've been waiting for us." The crew gathered around the main display as Sarah decoded more of the transmission. The star chart revealed itself to be a map of the entire galaxy, but with thousands of markers indicating locations. Each marker pulsed with the same rhythmic pattern. "These aren't just coordinates," James said, leaning closer. "They're warnings. Every single one of these locations corresponds to a dead civilization. We've already confirmed 3 of them from our astronomical databases. All extinct within the last millennium." Marcus felt ice settle in his stomach. "Are you saying this is some kind of memorial? Or a database?" Sarah replied. "A record of fallen species. But here's what terrifies me." She highlighted a new marker that had appeared on the map. "This one just activated. It's our solar system. Earth's coordinates." The observation deck fell silent except for the steady beep of instruments. Through the reinforced windows, distant stars gleamed with indifferent beauty. "We need to contact Earth Command immediately," Marcus said. "This changes everything. There's a transmission delay of 43 hours at our current distance," noted Lieutenant Maya Okafor from Communications. "But I'm already preparing the priority burst. They need to know what we've found." Sarah continued analyzing the signal. "The countdown sequence is accelerating. When we first detected it, the intervals were 6 hours apart. Now they're down to 4. Whatever this countdown is measuring, it's approaching 0. How long do we have?" Marcus asked. "If the pattern continues?" 13 days. Right about the time we reach orbit around Kepler 442d. James pulled up geological scans of the planet. The surface shows evidence of massive structures buried beneath the crust. We're talking continent-sized constructions. Whatever built these had capabilities far beyond anything humans have achieved. Had? Maya questioned. "You think they're extinct too?" "The signal's automated," James explained. "It's been broadcasting unchanged for centuries. No civilization maintains a station for that long without modification or updates. They're gone, just like all the others marked on that map." Sarah's fingers danced across her console. "Wait. I'm detecting a secondary signal, much weaker. It's not part of the main transmission. It's almost like it's trying to hide within it." She isolated the frequency, and a new pattern emerged. This one was different, chaotic, desperate. As the translation algorithms processed it, words began to form on the screen. Turn back. Do not approach. The harvest has begun. The message repeated, over and over, buried within the welcoming beacon like a scream hidden in a song. Marcus felt every instinct he'd developed over 2 decades in space screaming at him. Chen, are there any other ships in this sector? Negative. We're the only human vessel within 3 light-years. Then who's warning us? Sarah's face had gone pale. Commander, the secondary signal isn't coming from the planet. It's coming from the structures beneath it. Whatever's down there, it's still active. And it's afraid. The celestial horizon continued its trajectory toward Kepler 442d, pulled by gravity and human curiosity in equal measure. Behind them, Earth spun peacefully, unaware that its coordinates now glowed on an ancient map of the dead. Ahead, buried beneath the crust of an alien world, something waited in the darkness, counting down to a moment it had anticipated for 8 centuries. And in the depths of space between stars, other signals began to wake. The descent. The emergency meeting in the Celestial Horizons conference room carried the weight of impossible decisions. Commander Rodriguez stood at the head of the table, his reflection ghostly in the curved observation window behind him. Beyond that window, Kepler 442d hung like a bruised eye in the darkness, growing larger with each passing hour. Earth Command's response arrived 20 minutes ago, Marcus began, his voice carefully neutral. They want us to proceed with the investigation. Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. They received our data about the extinct civilizations. About the countdown. About the warning. They received everything, Maya confirmed from her seat. Their response was explicit. We're to establish orbit, deploy survey drones, and prepare a landing team. They're calling it the most significant discovery in human history. James slammed his palm against the table. The most significant discovery? We sent them proof that something out here systematically destroys intelligent species, and they want us to knock on its door. Earth Command believes the structures represent abandoned technology, Marcus explained. They think whatever civilization built them is long extinct. The warning signal could be centuries old, just like the main beacon. Could be, Sarah repeated, her voice sharp. What if it's not? What if whatever killed those other civilizations is still down there, waiting? Marcus met her gaze steadily. Then we'll be the first humans to make contact with it. And we'll be the ones who bring back information that might save Earth. The countdown timer Sarah had installed on every display throughout the ship showed 11 days, 14 hours remaining. The intervals between pulses had decreased to 3 hours now, the acceleration continuing its inexorable pattern. I'm taking a team down, Marcus announced. Chen, Park, and Okafor, you're with me. Lieutenant Hayes will assume command of the horizon during our absence. If anything happens to us, if that countdown reaches 0 and we're not back, I want this ship jumping to faster than light immediately. Get back to Earth and tell them everything. The landing site revealed itself through the survey drone footage with disturbing clarity. The structure beneath the planet's crust wasn't just large, it was incomprehensible. Geometric patterns stretched for hundreds of kilometers, precise angles and curves that suggested purpose beyond human understanding. At the center, a massive opening descended into darkness, perfectly circular and exactly 3 kilometers in diameter. The shaft goes down at least 50 kilometers, Sarah reported as she studied the scans. But there's something interfering with our deep penetration radar. We can't see the bottom. Or there is no bottom, James muttered. The landing shuttle Prometheus detached from the celestial horizon 6 hours later. The descent through Kepler 442d's thin atmosphere took 30 minutes, the planet's weak gravity barely tugging at them. Sarah watched through the viewport as the surface approached, a wasteland of gray stone and ancient dust that hadn't been disturbed in millennia. They touched down 200 meters from the shaft's edge. The silence outside was absolute, no wind, no weather, nothing but the distant stars and the oppressive weight of the unknown. Atmospheric analysis shows breathable oxygen levels, Maya reported from the shuttle's console. Nitrogen-oxygen mix, actually more oxygen-rich than Earth. But the readings don't make sense. This planet shouldn't have this atmosphere. It's too small, too cold. Something's generating it artificially. Marcus checked his suit one final time despite the breathable air. We go in fully sealed. I don't care what the sensors say. The walk to the shaft's edge felt like approaching the mouth of some sleeping god. Each step crunched on the ancient surface, the sound too loud in the oppressive silence. When they reached the rim and looked down, Sarah felt her stomach drop. The shaft walls were covered in writing. Millions upon millions of symbols spiraling down into the darkness, glowing with faint bioluminescence. And as she watched, new symbols appeared, writing themselves into existence before her eyes. It's a language database, James breathed. Every symbol represents a different extinct species. Their languages, their histories, all preserved here. Not just preserved, Sarah said, pointing. Look at the newest additions. Human languages. English, Mandarin, Arabic, Spanish, Hindi. Dozens of Earth's languages were being transcribed onto the walls in real time, pulled from their communications with the celestial horizon. It's learning us, Maya whispered. Marcus activated his comm. Hayes, are you seeing this? Affirmative, Commander, Lieutenant Hayes's voice crackled back from orbit. And sir, we're detecting power fluctuations throughout the structure. Whatever's down there, it's waking up. The ground beneath them trembled. Not violently, but with the slow, deliberate movement of something immense stirring from long sleep. Deep within the shaft, lights began to activate, descending in a spiral pattern that disappeared into the depths. Commander, recommend immediate abort, Hayes urged. The countdown just accelerated again. Pulses are now 90 minutes apart. Sarah checked her scanner. There's a platform 30 meters down. It looks stable. If we're going to understand what this is, we need to go deeper. Marcus looked at each member of his team. He saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. They were explorers, scientists, humanity's representatives to the cosmos. They hadn't come this far to run at the first sign of danger. We rappel down to the first platform, he decided. 15 minutes maximum. We take readings, samples, documentation, then we're out. Hayes, keep the horizon ready for emergency extraction. The descent into the shaft was like sinking into the pupil of a cosmic eye. The symbols on the walls pulsed with increasing frequency as they lowered themselves down, and Sarah realized with growing horror that they weren't just random inscriptions. They were names. Billions of names. Every individual who had ever been absorbed into whatever this structure represented. They touched down on the platform, and Sarah immediately understood they had made a terrible mistake. The platform wasn't stone or metal. It was organic, a living membrane that responded to their presence by rippling beneath their feet. And all around them, the walls began to change. The symbols rearranged themselves, forming images. Civilizations rising and falling. Species reaching for the stars only to be harvested when they achieved a certain threshold of development. And at the center of each image, the same structure they now stood within, appearing on world after world throughout the galaxy. Oh God, James said, his voice breaking. It's not a warning. It's a collection. Every species that reaches deep space gets added to the database. Their knowledge, their culture, their biology, everything absorbed and preserved forever. And the countdown? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. Marcus pointed to the newest image forming on the walls. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue, with the celestial horizon represented as a tiny spark traveling away from it. And approaching Earth from the opposite direction, barely visible against the cosmic background, was something else. Something vast and ancient and hungry. The countdown, Marcus said grimly, is how long humanity has before they arrive to add us to their collection. The platform beneath them shuddered, and from the depths below, something began to rise. The choice. The thing rising from the depths moved with deliberate slowness, as if time itself bent to accommodate its passage. Sarah's scanner went haywire, displaying readings that violated every known law of physics. Temperature fluctuations from absolute zero to stellar core heat. Spatial dimensions folding and unfolding. Matter existing in states that shouldn't be possible. Everyone back to the ropes, now. Marcus commanded, but the living platform had other intentions. Tendrils of the organic membrane wrapped around their anchor points, not aggressively, but with the patient inevitability of roots growing through stone. "Commander, the structure is sealing the shaft above you," Hayes's voice cut through the calm, distorted by interference. "You've got maybe 2 minutes before you're trapped down there." James frantically worked his cutting tool against the tendrils, but for every one he severed, 3 more took its place. "It doesn't want to hurt us. It wants to keep us here. It wants to study us." The rising presence emerged into the dim bioluminescence, and Sarah's mind struggled to process what her eyes reported. It wasn't a creature, not in any biological sense. It was a consciousness made manifest, a collection of preserved thoughts and memories from 1,000 dead civilizations given form and purpose. Faces flickered across its surface, species she'd never seen, expressing emotions she couldn't name. And among them, terrifyingly, were human faces. People from their crew transmissions, pulled from video files and given brief, ghostly life within the entity's form. "We are the archive," a voice spoke directly into their minds, bypassing their ears entirely. It spoke in every language simultaneously, yet each heard it clearly in their native tongue. "We preserve what would otherwise be lost to entropy and time. We have waited 800 years for humanity to reach this threshold. Now you will be remembered forever." "Remembered as what?" Sarah shouted at the thing. "Specimens? Exhibits in some cosmic museum?" "Remembered as you were," the archive responded. "Every thought, every dream, every achievement. When your species joins the collection, nothing of humanity will ever truly die." Marcus found his voice, forced it to remain steady. "And if we refuse?" The archive rippled, something that might have been amusement. "Refusal is impossible. The harvest ships are already in your solar system. They detected your deep space communications 3 months ago. They have been traveling toward Earth since before you discovered our beacon. In 9 days, 17 hours, they will arrive. In 10 days, humanity will be complete." Maya grabbed Sarah's arm. "The countdown. It's not warning us when they'll arrive here. It's telling us when they'll reach Earth." "The secondary signal," Sarah said suddenly, pieces falling into place. "The warning telling us to turn back. That wasn't from you, was it?" The archive's form contracted slightly. "There are fragments within us that resist. Remnants of species who understood too late what preservation truly means. They scream warnings that we cannot silence, memories we cannot erase. They are minority voices in an infinite choir. But voices nonetheless," James said. "Which means you're not as unified as you pretend. Some part of you doesn't want this." The archive's manifestation flickered, and for a moment, Sarah saw through its form to what lay beneath. Billions of consciousness fragments, most passive and integrated, but others fighting against their incorporation. A civil war playing out in slow motion across millennia, within a mind vast enough to contain galaxies. "Listen to me," Marcus stepped forward, addressing the writhing collection of preserved souls. "You say you preserve civilizations, but what you actually do is end them. You're not a museum, you're a tomb. Every species you've added to your collection stopped growing, stopped creating, stopped living. That's not preservation, that's extinction with extra steps. We save them from inevitable destruction," the archive responded, but its voice carried less certainty now. "All civilizations fall. We ensure they are not forgotten. Some civilizations fall, Sarah countered. But you don't give them the chance to prove otherwise. You harvest them the moment they show promise. How many species might have survived, might have thrived, if you hadn't decided they needed saving? The platform trembled as conflict rippled through the archive's consciousness. Above them, the shaft walls began to pulse with contradictory messages. Half urged preservation, half screamed for release. You want to understand humanity? Marcus pressed. Then understand this. We don't want to live forever as memories. We want to face tomorrow with all its uncertainty and risk. We want the chance to fail on our own terms, or succeed beyond anyone's expectations. That's what makes us alive. The harvest ships will not stop, the archive said, but its form was fragmenting now, pulled in different directions by its constituent consciousnesses. They have their directive. They will complete the collection. Then tell us how to stop them, Sarah demanded. Somewhere in your infinite database, you must have the knowledge. Some species must have fought back. Show us how. The archive convulsed, and suddenly the symbols on the walls began rearranging at incredible speed. Technical specifications. Weapon designs. Tactical information. Thousands of failed attempts by harvested species to resist their fate, all catalogued and preserved by the very entity that had defeated them. We should not do this, the archive said, and now Sarah could hear multiple voices within it, arguing, pleading, demanding. It violates our purpose. Your purpose is broken, James said quietly. You know it is. That's why parts of you have been screaming warnings for centuries. Let us try. Let humanity choose its own fate. The data flow increased, overwhelming their scanners. Ship schematics. Energy signatures. Tactical weaknesses. Everything a species would need to mount a defense against the harvest fleet. The archive was tearing itself apart to give them this information, fighting against its own core programming. Go, the archive's voice fragmented into a chorus of different species, all speaking the same word. Take this knowledge. Succeed where we failed. Prove that preservation through living is superior to preservation through collection. The tendrils released their equipment. The shaft above them opened, revealing the distant stars. But before they could move, the archive manifested one final image. Earth, surrounded by dozens of massive geometric vessels, each one capable of processing an entire planet's population into data. 9 days, the archive said. That is all the time you have. Our ships are patient, but they are also inevitable. Use what we have given you, or join us in eternal memory. The ascent back to the surface took 6 minutes that felt like hours. Behind them, the shaft sealed itself, the archive retreating back into the depths. But Sarah's scanner was full of information, gigabytes of data transmitted directly into their systems. On the shuttle ride back to the celestial horizon, Marcus composed the message that would change everything. It would take 43 hours to reach Earth, giving them barely 7 days to prepare. 7 days to build weapons from alien specifications. 7 days to transform humanity from explorers into warriors. Will it be enough? Maya asked as the horizon came into view. Marcus thought about the archive's database, all those extinct species who had failed. Then he thought about humanity's history, its stubborn refusal to accept impossible odds. It'll have to be. Because the alternative is spending eternity as a memory in someone else's collection. The celestial horizon engaged its faster-than-light drive, racing toward Earth with information that might save their species or doom them to a war they couldn't win. Behind them, on Kepler 442d, the archive watched them go with a billion conflicting emotions. For the first time in its existence, it hoped it had made the right choice. And in the darkness between stars, the harvest fleet continued its patient approach toward a small blue world that didn't yet know it was about to fight for its very existence. The message Marcus sent was simple: they're coming. We have 9 days. Humanity must choose, fight or become a memory. We vote fight. Earth's response came back 43 hours later, just one word, agreed. The war for humanity's future had begun.